Well, obviously there is the second leg to come next week, but Atalanta have ended a 34 home game unbeaten run across all competitions for Liverpool. And even though many thought Atalanta might be able to cause a few problems, we've seen it before from them in European competitions, I don't think many would have predicted a 3-0 loss at home for Liverpool at Anfield. Gabriele Marcotti and Nedum Onuoha are joining us. We'll be hearing from the guys in just a moment. But let me start with you, Stevie, because it was hard for you to put your finger on it as to how you explain what happened to Liverpool tonight.
Well, there's a few elements to it. I think no question Liverpool weren't at it tonight. I think, and there was a little passage in the first half in particular that stood out. Van Dijk was running back, and I think it was Scamacca that was behind him, and he was so casual. And it's kind of the way Liverpool went about this, I think. They were just too casual. There wasn't that little bit of desire and drive. Almost like they thought that they just had to turn up and they were going to win this game. And of course, you give a team like Atalanta some opportunities, and you saw they took them. So, from a defensive point of view, it's an absolute disaster. And it was interesting that after the game, Van Dijk was talking about how they gave the ball away to let Atalanta come at them. Well, guess what? As brilliant as Virgil's been all season, part of his job is to put fires out before they start. Part of your job as a defender is to be in a position where if you do lose the ball, then you do your job by defending. And the whole back line tonight were guilty of not doing that. And as I said, you saw the way that Scamacca took his goals, particularly the second one. I mean, 30% of the ball Atalanta had, and they had 11 shots, 7 of them on target. That has got poor defending written all over it. And at the end of the day, they deserved the 3-0 victory.
Do you think it might be hard for them to be as motivated as they may be if it were a Champions League game, given the fact it is a Europa League game? Do you think that plays a factor here?
I don't know whether it's the competition, but I certainly felt that motivation, I guess I would have to agree, was missing. Because you don't start a game as casually as they did if you're motivated in the right manner. And they didn't look as though they were motivated in the right manner, which is really not something we can talk about with a Jurgen Klopp side. And of course, an old coach of mine used to say it all the time, start well. Because if you start well and you start fast, you can always slow down. If you do it the other way around, sometimes you can't get going. And Liverpool never really got going. Even with all the possession they had, I didn't feel as though they were going to score. Goalkeeper had a couple of good saves, one from Salah after he came on. But really, he wasn't tested that much.
How did you see it, Gab?
I think Stevie photographed it pretty well. I mean, it's pretty obvious in the way they approached it. When you saw the lineup, when you saw, no Szoboszlai, no Diaz, no Mohamed Salah, no Robertson. The intent was, all right, let me rotate guys a little bit. We're in a title race domestically and whatever. But by the same token, I would have thought the people who did play, Curtis Jones, Elliott, Gakpo's a whole other kettle of fish. But all these guys would be like, hey, I'm here, I'm motivated, I want to give my all because, I want to give the manager something to think about in the league and whatnot. And that was entirely missing. The other thing I'd throw in, and I think this is on the defenders, sure, but it's also on Klopp, the way Atalanta play isn't a mystery, right? They intermittently go man for man and press you high all over the pitch. And where Liverpool had some limited success was simply hit the ball long. Hit the ball long because you have Darwin and Gakpo who are fast. And that back three with Hein and Jim City, whatever, is not particularly fast. And yet they had that 70% possession. That's all sterile possession. That's all them trying to pass it out of the back, not being particularly press resistant because Atalanta pressed really well and are really organized. And I thought that was just them just getting the game plan wrong, I think, and not really adjusting until it was too late.
Stevie, when it comes to that half-time, when he made a lot of changes, did Jurgen Klopp, and brought a lot of your usual starters on for Liverpool,
yep.
Obviously you're looking at that to change the game, but they actually conceded more goals in the second half than the first half. What does that tell us?
Well, clearly Klopp wasn't happy. and he made the changes, and then you're chasing the game. And regardless of who you are, when you chase the game, then you tend to leave more gaps defensively than you normally would do. But as I said previously, at the end of the day, your job as a defender is to defend first. And when you don't do it properly, then you give the opposition opportunities. And if you're lucky, they don't take them. Tonight, Scamacca in particular took every single thing pretty much that he was given. And then you pay the price. You know, personally, I would have preferred, you know, Gab's talking about not starting Salah and Szoboszlai. I always think, particularly, we're in the quarterfinals, regardless of what you think of Europa League. It's the quarterfinal. You want to win it, go and win it, and then take everybody off. You've got 5 subs. There's no excuse anymore. You can start your best players, and then once you win the game, then you take 5 of them off. I always think that's the best way to go. I understand why Klopp's rotating, and I understand why any club in the position that Liverpool are in would rotate. But you can rotate after you've won the game as well. You don't have to take a chance and gamble and give the opposition something else to hold on to. Go win the game and then take them off. That's what I would have done. Do
you agree, Nedum?
No, I think that's fair. And I think listening to Stevie talk there, I think the point he made about starting fast and being able to slow down, I think is a key one. And that's something that we kind of expect from Liverpool. You know, especially being at home in a knockout competition in Europe, you'd think they're just going to run teams over, especially an Atalanta side who are a good side. But it's not as if, you know, they're challenging for the Scudetto this year or anything like that. So I think this result in itself is a huge shock for everyone. But I think, I agree with Stevie, some of the defending at times was so disappointing. And I think from my standpoint, when I look at Liverpool defend on occasion, I think it's almost like they're trying to show that they've got everything under control. They don't want to be seen to be rushed. They don't want to be seen to be panicking. But playing against really good sides, what you're doing is allowing that person to be able to pick the right pass, to be able to make the right run, to be able to have the right moment. I think there has to be a level of intensity that's there. And as Stevie said, from the start of the game, it wasn't there. And as a consequence, they struggled throughout the game and gave Atalanta a big boost in believing that they can go and get a result there.
I wonder how Stevie has rated the defenders for Liverpool tonight, because we did ask him to give us his player ratings, and he did so. So let's take a look at what we've got, Stevie. OK, 3 for Tsimikas, Van Dijk, Konate and Gomez, all 4s.
Well, listen, 5, to me, 5 is bang average. And all of them, Gomez, Konate and Van Dijk, were below bang average tonight. Kelleher, listen, I guess it's tough to really slaughter Kelleher because the first goal is horrendous. I think he should have done better with the third one. But the truth is, he's a young kid learning his trade. He's come in, he's done really well. And tonight was just one of those nights for him. Tsimikas, well, half-time couldn't have come quick enough to get him off, to be honest. And the front 3, actually, you know, Núñez had a chance in the first half. And I was annoyed at the way he went about it. He was trying to just dink it over the goalkeeper, but it looked so nonchalant and careless and sloppy. You know, that really annoyed me, the way he tried to do it. Elliott was unfortunate with his strike, but other than that, not an awful lot. And Gakpo, a lot of energy, probably as much energy as anybody else, but nothing on the end of it.
Joe Gomez, you seem to be frustrated quite often with this player.
Listen, Joe, there's a reason Joe's never scored a goal for Liverpool, right? And so, when you're in it, when you know that, and you know that it's not your forte, then get the ball and give it to somebody whose forte it is to either create or have a strike at goal. That was what frustrated me. And we saw during the game that it frustrated Jurgen Klopp as well. Ball coming out from a corner. Is the strike on? Yes, the strike is on. But you know what? When you're 0 for 1,000, you're probably better giving it to somebody else.
Were Stevie's ratings generous, Gab?
You know, when you think back and you just, I mean, we saw the highlights, but Atalanta could have easily scored 3 other goals. You had the 2 Koopmeiners chances. You had the other chance where De Ketelaere, for reasons only he will ever understand, decides to backheel it rather than just shoot the ball straight into the net. And then they screw up the shot. And then you had the Scamacca header late on, which went, you know, over the bar, and he should have scored. I don't understand how you fail to see the tall man with the large neck tattoos in the middle of your area, and that's that's really what it felt like. And this is a real defensive collapse. And guess what? It's a defensive collapse where people can't just go and blame Trent Alexander-Arnold, because guess what? He wasn't playing. The dude was on the bench. No, you got to go and blame the other guys for this one.
How will it be received in Italy? How is this news going to go down, what Atalanta have done here, Gab?
Oh, I think this is historical. Now, is it Atalanta's greatest ever European night? No, of course not. I mean, they reached the Champions League semi-finals a few years ago, but that was in COVID, and that was a different context. I mean, Scamacca, I think, is the first Italian player to score 2 goals at Anfield, so a big note of that. There's also a little bit of pride, and this is something I kind of dug out myself, but in the last 3 years, only 4 managers have actually won at Anfield. 3 of them are Italian, obviously Gasperini tonight, Simone Inzaghi, and Carlo Ancelotti with Real Madrid in that 5-2, which is also the last time that Liverpool lost at Anfield. The 4th, even though he's kind of yucky because he went to Princeton, is kind of Italian adjacent, because he lives in Italy, and that's Jesse Marsch with Leeds United. So, we'll take some pride in that. We don't have that much else to celebrate right now.
That's a stretch, isn't
so,
it?
yeah, I think it's a big deal.
Let them have it, all right?
Oh, you can have it. It's a bit of a stretch.
You can let them have it tonight, but let's talk about the second leg and the tie overall. Nedum, percentage chance Liverpool can go through?
Wow. I'm going to say 40%. Does that seem fair? 40%?
Ooh, that's high.
High?
That's high.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's high, Nedum. 40%.
Well,
3-0.
It does feel high. It does feel high, but I think Liverpool can win a game by 3 to take it to extra time or what have you. But still, Atalanta are favourites, which is why I've given them more than 50%. You see my thinking? That's where I'm coming from.
What do you say, Stevie?
That's less than 40. I mean, to beat anybody 3-0 away from home in Europe isn't easy. Not only have you got the team, you've got the crowd against you, and to have to score at least 3 goals, you're going to have to chase the game. And we saw what happened tonight when Liverpool chased the game at home and left all kinds of holes. And as Gab said, it could have been 5. 20?
20%?
It's got to be. You're going to leave holes. Liverpool are going to have to go that way. That means they're going to be leaving holes.
Is 20 still high, Gab, for you?
It's got to be 20, Gab, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm much closer to Stevie than I am to Nedum here. Yeah, look, I mean, Liverpool have had games where they've won by 3 goals or more. And by the way, if they win by 3 goals, it goes to penalties. It's not like they've won. But, I think they beat Bournemouth this season. They beat Sparta Prague 5-1. But, with all due respect to Sparta Prague, Atalanta aren't Sparta Prague. So it's a big ask. And, yeah, I'd say 20%, maybe even a little bit less is about right. I think it's also going to depend whether, what happens in the league this weekend. What happens against Palace? Is there some negative carryover? Does that change the way that they approach this next game? So, yeah, no, I think, sure, they're not out of it, but, yeah, it's a heavy, heavy lift to turn this around.